His two brothers, they were triplets. Yeah, they were fast. We had me, Kyle Kearney, there was Terry Smacker.
Okay, we're good, John.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to call the May 20th Board of Commission meeting to order. Today, we're going to have the prayer by Commissioner Heberling, followed by the pledge by Commissioner Ballard.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful spring day. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity and the freedoms that we have in America here, that we can meet as elected officials and open meetings. And Lord, we just pray as we go through this meeting today and go through the tasks that we vote on and address, Lord, we just pray for your guidance, and we give you the honor and the glory in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Leslie, roll call, please.
District 1 Chairman John Block.
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Gary Heberling.
Here.
District 4 Commissioner Bill Sarkella.
Present.
District 5 Commissioner Christine Lee.
Present.
District 6 Commissioner Evans Ehart.
Here.
District 7 Commissioner John Moody.
Here.
Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Welcome back, Evans. It's good to have you back.
All right, good to be back.
If there are no corrections or additions to our agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Lee to adopt the agenda as presented, supported by Commissioner Heberling. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Agenda is adopted. At this time, we'll entertain a motion to approve our meeting minutes from May 6th.
So moved. Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Sarkella to adopt our meeting minutes from May 6th. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. You received your correspondence from Jody through email the other day. So we're going to move into commissioner reports, and we'll start with Commissioner Moody.
On the 13th, I had Sperry Township. They had 2 fire runs in the last month. They're getting some new lights put in the parking lot area. They were awarded $2,500 for new security cameras around the building. They awarded their maintenance, generator maintenance, bid to Reefer Electrical out of, I believe it's out of Lexington. They did a resolution to start accepting payment plans for their fire department runs. They're gonna do some upgrading to their security systems and servers. And they're gonna be replacing some flags and ropes. And then I had Fremont Township on the 15th. They're to discuss a ditch clean out that they decided they weren't gonna assist with doing that one. And they just renewed some CDs and reminded everybody that their schedule changed for the June meeting to the 12th. And that's about it.
Good. Thank you, John. Evans?
I'm sure you guys all saw in the newspaper that the President of Lexington Council stepped down a couple weeks ago. Their next meeting is next Monday. I'll be at that meeting to see all the transitions that they'll be making and see what they're gonna be doing. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, Evans. If everybody remembers from a few years ago, the green ooze incident issue that we had in Marion Township, there was an individual from the city that had some toxic materials that owned property. Back when that happened originally, Eagle came up and did some soil sampling and didn't find any issues. And unfortunately, that property is having more action in the sense of equipment on the property late at night, and residents are concerned. So I reached out to the township supervisor, reached out to me about it. I reached out to the emergency management director, and he went out and met with them and took Eagle out there. And from what they were able to come up with, there isn't anything that Eagle or emergency management can do in the situation currently. So it's going to be dealt with mainly as a blight issue with the township. So just want everybody to be aware that's going on. And then probably a few weeks ago, I reported that Minden Township had completed their solar ordinance and that there was a referendum on that. And I believe the township board actually scheduled the date for the election and everything. And I don't have a ton of information on it yet, but I've heard that the township board has actually rescinded that referendum. So I'll keep track of that and report to the board what I find out. That's all I have. Christine?
I went to the Brown City Council and they have people that at the last bunch of meetings, they want chickens in the city limits. So they're gonna look and see what other towns have and see what type of, they're gonna change to allow people have it or not. People are quite upset. They think of them as pets. Arsenic plant, they had a repair on the valves. The clerk resigned and they appointed a new clerk. The police is ready for Brown City Days. The lift station construction is moving right along. And they had hydrant flushing this past week. And spring cleanup is June 12th. And the May 26th meeting was changed to May 27th to 5 p.m. And then I was at Elmer Township's meeting. And they talked about maybe putting on the next election a millage to cover their costs, the share from this. They have two fire departments that serve Elmer Township, Sandusky and Marlette. And they were looking and thinking about maybe putting a millage on to cover the costs for that, share their part. They've been doing a lot of land over there and they've been working on their Creo. And they appointed some new members to their planning commission and to their zoning board of appeal. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Christine. Bill?
Port Sanilac discussed their chicken ordinance as well, introducing one of those, approved their Blues Fest, some sidewalk work, and heavy discussion on short-term rentals. Washington Township approved the Applegate Fire Protection contract, a mowing contract, and they interviewed assessors right at their meeting, and they had 3 assessors apply and hired a new assessor. And then Bridgehampton, they got a new clerk, stepped up, Mary Bocash stepped up to be the clerk now. Shelley McCarty was elected as treasurer this last election. They introduced some cemetery mowing bids, a road ditch agreement, and board of review didn't have any issues. And then they're going to start posting their meeting dates on their new sign out front. And then Buell Township, their clerk was hired in at Croswell. And so they have a new clerk that was there getting trained as well. Some blight discussion for them. Their cameras are going to be installed, approve some land splits, and also their fire contracts as well. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Gary?
Sandusky City Council, it was discussed last night about several different options of putting in the same height light poles, also LED lights, and Councilman Hillman and City Manager gave a report on that, and it's a costly endeavor to do the whole city, so they're going to do chunks at a time. But I've never noticed. I go through Sandusky probably 8 times a week. I've never noticed there's different color lights and different heights of poles, but they're going to address that with MDOT. They're working on getting a few lights back working that somehow when MDOT was in last summer and did their reconstruction, some of the lights are out. They're working, the city managers are working with MDOT to get them back and going. It was also stated that they've started their yearly audit with Yo and Yo. And I hope I got this name right. There's a new Bigby coffee shop proposed to go in out east limits of Sandusky. And they handed in their drawings and moving forward with opening that. City manager reported the city Little League parade this past weekend went well. And also as far as rentals, Countryside Church west of Sandusky submitted a rental request to use Dorfield for their Vacation Bible School this summer. And Watertown, they're still working on the grant for the new water meters. And I gave them my monthly report. And then Moore Township, I was under the weather for a couple of days, so I sent my monthly report to Sid, and I don't know if that got read in the meeting or not, Moore Township, but end of my report.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Roger?
Excuse me, on the 7th, I attended the makeup meeting for the Marlette City Council. They didn't have a quorum for the regular night. The meeting started at 8 a.m. I had to leave at 8:30 for an evergreen meeting. And they didn't get into any of the agenda. The mayor gave a dialogue on the marijuana ordinance. So I missed all their business. Mont Township last night, they had discussion and gave approval for the fire department to apply for an MDNR grant. The cap on that is $4,999. And they plan to go for that grant to purchase some handheld 800 frequency radios for their emergency responders. So a pretty good chance they'll get that. I guess that's it for that report.
Good, thank you, Roger.
Oh, I'm sorry, City of Marlette, I did not go, Township of Marlette, I did not go to their meeting. There was a tribute to Gordon Lightfoot that was put on by the Marlette Historical Society, which I wanted to go to since I saw him in 81 at Pine Knob.
Okay. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate everyone's commissioner reports. Nathan, your administrator report, please.
Yes, thank you. So you guys are aware the budgets have been released to all the elected officials, so budgets are out. I was looking at those being returned June 13th, so we'll get an idea of what people's requests are and start combing through those after June 13th. The chill grant funds for the homeowner repairs that has been brought up a few times. The funds were finally released. I had a call with HDC today, who's our third-party administrator on that grant. We're going to meet and kind of go through some things and then discuss next steps for that. But funding has been secured. It was released into our portal now, so it's all there. We just have to kind of get moving on next steps. So HDC is working on this with not only our county, working with Tuscola and Lapeer as well. They did note that we are the only ones who are at this point of having grants secured, so that's a good feeling. We're a little bit ahead of the ball game.
Nathan, with HDC being the third party, entity that's going to facilitate it, how much work do you think we're going to have in administration on this issue? Is it mainly going to be handled by HDC, or is it going to be more hand in hand?
Mainly by HDC, but there's some things that we have to, I have to go in and manually approve from a county's perspective. So the application process and vetting people through, they're going to handle a majority of those types of things. But then when it comes time for submission, approval of funds, funds being released, some of that documentation, I might have to put that into the portal and from us. So, and the other grant that had been talked about a little bit over last year, so that MEDC grant for the Peck Park project, we are going to have to, unfortunately, bring another policy before the board to adopt, and it's one of those policies to assure that some of this money for this grant is going to benefit a low to moderate income population. And that won't be a problem because we have enough of those folks within our county. The Peck area will be fine. We just have to, that's another step we'll have to do. So I'll bring that policy would have to be adopted before the closing of that grant. So we've got some time, but just to alert you guys on that. Another step, that's the biggest thing I found with these grants is it's like, and when I was talking to the Brian Newville from HDC, it's like this ever changing rules with grants. And now we need this, and you need to go back. Well, you adopted this policy, but you need to actually include this now. And the rules are continually changing, but it's free money. So you play the games you have to obtain it. So the Moore Street in Sandusky, the Moore Street demo projects are both fully completed. Gravel has been put down. Both holes are filled. There is now parking available for residents at those two locations on Moore Street. So that is, I am glad to say, finally done and complete. So that's a positive. And lastly, the animal shelter, Gary, Commissioner Eberlein and myself got a text this morning from Dave Faber from the city that said the deed should be done hopefully in the next few days. That was one step we're waiting for. And then the next step, we're waiting for Dan's to vacate the site. Obviously, as spoken about, there's still work going on. I haven't gotten a good timeline as to when exactly it seems like that's kind of changed a little bit when they're going to be out of town. So once they vacate that site, then Jeremy Bender will be able to get some of his his materials and stuff in there and start going, but obviously he didn't want to do that while they were still there, so.
Right, and I think they're kind of holding on to that site a little longer than we anticipated them to, so.
Yeah.
There's the possibility that things would be slightly backed up, but,
Yep.
to just want to see what the weather holds out like this year and see how it goes.
Yeah, so I know, he was ambitious and gave that timeline, but some things are kind of out of his control at this point. I mean, it could be a month, it could be a week before he can get in there, it could be 2 months, we don't know.
Right.
So,
And go ahead and go. Jeremy's ordered a lot of materials and they got it set in another place.
Okay, so he's moving along,
Move forward.
but getting access to the site.
Right,
is
that's
obviously-
correct, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep, so wheels are in motion, it's just that site is the big holdup and we can get in there. Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you for your report, Nathan. Is there any questions for Nathan?
Just quickly with Sandusky demo being done, they're gonna be moving to Applegate next then?
The plan will be to move to Lexington and Applegate, yes.
Okay, so Lexington first, then Applegate.
Next, I don't quote me on it. I think,
Okay.
I don't know which site they were going to move to first. They might. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Same contractor though?
Same contractor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Any further questions for Nathan? Good. Hearing none, we'll move on. Thank you, Nathan. At this time, I'm going to call for public comments. Are there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? Okay, seeing none, we are going to move on to presentations. And first up, we have Drug Task Force 2024 annual report, Lieutenant Mike Moore. Lieutenant, welcome.
Good afternoon and thanks for having me. I handed out the packet there when I first came in. Appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity, just to remind everyone, this is one of those special ones because it's millage funded. So for us to be able to come in and present things to you guys and kind of let everyone know what's being done with the millage money, I appreciate the opportunity to do that. So just going through the packet, I'm just going to hit on a few points. If there's any questions throughout it, please ask. Any questions at the end, please ask. As you can see on the first page there with the enforcement unit, there was some change in personnel. Happens every couple of years. The huge benefit of the change last year is 2 of them that left the unit were promoted. So it was a positive thing for Deputy Cott and Deputy Lamming to become sergeants back over at the sheriff's office. Also a great addition with Jennifer Diot, who is the new K9 handler of Phoenix, doing a great job in that position. For the education there, I'd just like to list those guys in the report. Those officers and deputies give a lot of time and energy into the team program back in the schools, and the same with Christabel and the prevention program. Page 3, so the Drug Task Force millage is kind of a 3-pronged approach. One of those prongs is the enforcement unit, and that is what most people see as DTF. So I just want to specify DTF is the enforcement part of it. The Drug Task Force millage covers a lot more than just the enforcement unit. So as far as the enforcement unit goes, that is the sergeant and deputies that are responsible for all of the tips, the investigation, the execution of the search warrant, overseeing the cases, and doing the boots on the ground work as far as trying to make an impact on the drugs that are prevalent in Sanilac County. Drug trends are constantly changing, so there's a lot of training that goes into those deputies and the sergeant, trying to keep them up to date on what those changes are, so that they in turn can get out to the local PDs and other agencies and give those updates to other staff so that they're aware of what's going on. So one of my big pushes being in that position is our collaboration with all of the local entities, the schools, the PDs, any of the other entities throughout the county, as well as surrounding counties. The next couple of pages, you're going to see some charts for the enforcement unit. Just going to hit on a couple of them: tips received and complaints investigated. As you can see in the tips received in that first graph, that number is down significantly. I can't give you a reason for why that's down, other than to point out that looking at that 10-year chart, it is down significantly. So when you look at the number of complaints investigated at just under 200, that number is pretty substantial based on the amount of tips that came in for the investigators to investigate. Next page, I'm not going to hit on anything there unless anyone has a question. Next page, as far as arrests go, going back to those first two, as far as the tips received and the complaints investigated, want to point out that the number of arrests was up significantly or is above the average in the 10 years based on those number of complaints that were handled. So the only thing I'm going to point out on the next page with the charts as far as the drugs seized is to show that although that first chart shows that methamphetamine is down as far as the amount seized, it is still the most prevalent drug in Sanilac County. It has been since 2017, 2018 timeframe. It just went from where it was being manufactured locally to it being shipped in from elsewhere and much easier to obtain. And it's just as prevalent. It's a very addictive substance. And I think that's why we see it as the most prevalent drug out there. Once you're on it, it just grabs you. So that's where the majority of our enforcement efforts are focused on. That's all I'm going to cover in the charts as far as the seizures go. Going on to the page listed education, where you have the team program. That is the second prong of the millage, the education facet. So the funding for the team program for all the instructors to be trained, for all the instructor supplies, and for all of the wages expanded in the schools for those instructors to teach the team program in all 7 school districts in Sanilac County. The team program covers a broad range of topics. The good portion of it being drug or alcohol prevention related. But it allows the team instructors to focus on all kinds of additional things as far as vaping, bullying, sexting, cell phone safety, and internet responsibility. There's a ton of topics, all of which are important, and it's also not aimed at one age group. It's K through 12. Those instructors can vary the topic to adjust each one of those age groups. Again, we have the deputies and officers listed there that are team instructors or who did the team program for us in 2024. Also on the education, along with that, as I noted earlier, we do provide training as far as updates to entities, being the schools, local communities, fire departments, EMS, to try to keep them up to date on what we're seeing and what we're hearing as far as drug trends and items associated with those trends and safety hazards and concerns going along with that. We also do things like today where we're trying to get out in the community. We go to the fairs, career days, all kinds of events, trying to promote ourselves so that people are aware of what the drug task force millage actually is covering, so that they know what they're voting on when they go for that renewal. The last facet or last prong of it is the prevention side of it. Crystal Bell with the health department has provided this service for us for years, does an excellent job with it. Her report is attached as far as the number of sessions or units that she conducted in 2024 was 653. And what a session consists of is a meeting with an individual. So she may meet with an individual multiple times throughout a school year, but each time is considered a session. And that ranges from 15 minutes to a half hour. And again, this is a prevention she's a prevention educator. So what she's doing is she's trying to, that student was referred to her either by parents or from some incident that occurred in the school. and she's getting in there, having one-on-one contact with them, providing them with resources and trying to get them on a better path in life. So you can see that was up, her numbers were up 10% from the previous year in FY '23. And the last thing on the prevention side of it is the next page, the drug take back. It's been a huge thing since the drug task force started participating in that and kind of pushing it out to these different locations throughout the county. And just the amount of pills that come off the streets, whether they're controlled substances or whether it's Tylenol, it doesn't much matter as long as that stuff is getting disposed of appropriately, makes it safer for our water systems, and it keeps it out of the hands of children. One of the things I want to hit on why that's important. 3 or 4 times a year at minimum, we get called to the schools of some kid who, because their parents may have bad habits and may be involved with dealing of drugs, kids will show up with a baggie with 10 or 12 Tylenol in it and want to replicate what they see at home. So again, whether it's Tylenol, whatever it is, we're getting off the street, all of those substances to us are important. And that's kind of a reason why that's important, is to get it out of the hands of those that should not have it in their hands. Last page is the finance summary. Any questions I'm willing to answer on that. You can see where the forfeiture fund balance is. That increased slightly. The good majority of that was because it's an interest bearing account. And as far as the year-end balance, you can see that is a significant balance. The only thing I'm going to hit on with that is that approximately $100,000 of that is earmarked each year since 2021 for the position of the K-9. At the time that we did that in 2021, the anticipation was that about this time, getting closer to the end of the life of the dog, that money was going to be gone. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, that money has continued to grow, but the unfortunate side of that is because of staffing issues. So in March of this year, we did get the one deputy back. We are hopefully within a couple of months here of filling our last position as soon as we get a few more through training at the sheriff's office. And once we are fully staffed, hopefully we can keep that, and we're going to see that number increase by $100,000 to $125,000 per year to support that K-9 program. I don't have anything else. Fingers crossed tomorrow. You're all welcome out at Carsonville Fort Sanilac High School, 4 o'clock for the drug task force track meet. Christine will be there to run the show. So you're all welcome. Come out and support. That is for the junior high for all 7 school districts in the county. So
Dress in multiple layers.
and just, yeah, it sounds like bring an umbrella too tomorrow. So
Lieutenant, you spent some time here on prevention with Crystal. She's done a great job.
yes,
And have been doing that for many years. And I know you not only work with the children, you also have to work with the parents. That's part of the problem, right? My point was, she's been doing this for a long time and getting a lot of prevention education out there. Do you see things getting better from a standpoint that the kids are taking that serious and that it is changing their life? And we see instead of going down, it's going up.
well, and I think I'll throw a couple things out there. The prevalence of bad decisions is more prevalent today than it seems like. There's cell phones and all this technology. There's so much in the face of kids that the opportunity for bad decisions, me personally, I think is much greater now than it used to be. Talk to Crystal. She's a very optimistic person. She loves what she does and she does a very good job at it. And she's optimistic that any student that she speaks with, that she's making a positive. And kind of in law enforcement as a whole, if I make an impact on one person throughout my career, then I've done something. If I can impact multiple, great.
Spot on.
But if I impact somebody, then to me it's worth it.
Sure.
And on that prevention side of it, the amount we're throwing at it, if we can impact one person, then we're doing something. That's my thought.
For sure.
based on some of the statements I've seen being part of that board, Crystal really relates well to kids and comes across good to them. I think they take her to heart and listen.
Lieutenant, the level of training that the team instructors go through, is that a day course, a week course, a month long?
It's actually a 2-week course, if I recall correctly. Maybe it's 40 hours, but I thought it was 80 hours. But on top of that, they're constantly preparing. So that program, gives you a flash drive and all kinds of resources with different templates and programs to set up. But you're coming back home and you're catering that to your school or your area. So in the instructor and speaking with the instructors, they're constantly tweaking because of no different than us on the enforcement side of it. In the training that we go to with the different trends of what is prevalent, they're doing the same thing and updating their material constantly to try to.
So annually, every year, every couple months is something new. It's constantly changing and evolving, basically.
Correct. You got it. Yep. There's an initial training that they're going to get their certification, and then internally they're just doing that stuff themselves.
Okay. So it's quite a commitment that they take on to do that.
It's a huge commitment. Yes.
Not only the time they spend with the education, but then spending time with the kids and.
Yes. Make an example, Deputy Jeswell is part-time for us doing that on the days that he's off from Sandusky PD. And most of the time at Sandusky PD, he's teaching it in Sandusky schools as well. So,
Right.
so it's just because of staffing, we're having to do what we have to do, but we want to get in all the schools as much as we can. So.
Very good.
Do you think the Dropbox program has seen an increase in what's been turned in through that?
I think it increased for the first 5 years because we were getting more out there, and now it's stayed up there. It was 600 and some pounds. That's a lot of pills that are going back. So, I guess I would have to look at that number. It's not something that I put in there. But I know it's stayed up consistently toward that number. So if you're getting 600 pounds pills off the street in a year, that's a lot of pills.
And I think you made an important point in your presentation, Lieutenant, that it protects the water supply because a lot of people flush that stuff down the toilet, not realizing that water goes to a water treatment plant that people then turn around and drink.
Correct.
So
You got it.
very good. Any further questions for Lieutenant? Thank you for the report.
Yep, thank you so much.
Okay. Next up in presentations is we have Bryant Wilkie, our health officer from the Health Department with the 2024 Health Department Annual Report. Bryant, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I got a comment. As you mentioned, Crystal, so optimistic. A truth will find all us in public health. Optimistic. Quite a good fight, right? With that said, great report, Mike, and thanks for including what we do with them. You'll notice in my letter how I talk about partnership. And we know as a health department, we can't do everything we need to do for our community. But when we partner with DTF and organizations like that, we can get so much more done. That's why it's so critical for us to be part of that and working towards a better well-being in our community. And we thank them for that. It's just how we can do more with less, is working together and partnering. You'll notice in my report, and I thank my board and my staff for putting a lot of this together, my board support and your support. There's 4 areas that we talk about in public health. Finance is the big one. You're going to see a lot of financial numbers in this report. We wanted to be transparent and show you where the numbers are coming from and how we spend those funds, whether federal or state or both, what programming. Public health is another, and that's more so the clinic services that we offer to our community. Environmental health, which a lot of you might be more familiar with, since we have more contact with it seems, on environmental health issues that go on.
Particularly in manure.
Yes.
Particularly manure.
Gary and Greg Alexander, but he's not here. Just recently, 3 calls yesterday, but we're there to help serve and do what we can. And even the odd things that you mentioned, the manure. Right. Do we have any regulations over manure? But no, but maybe we can educate the homeowner on pollution prevention. You don't want that running off in bars, lakes and streams, of course, our beautiful Lake Huron. And then substance use, which Mike addressed a little bit. So you'll see that in my letter really quick. This is about partnership and some of the new things we're trying to do to help communicate that out. Again, thanks to my staff. You'll see my board members, Pam Willis, the chair, vice chair, Kendra, and everything, Walt Belgerall, Christine as a representative of the board here, and then Leah Lentz. One thing I really want to point out, there's a lot of numbers in there that we wanted to share with you in the public health finance area. If you go to page 4, and you see that bar graph there and you say, oh my gosh, what are they doing over there to make all that kind of money? No, we do not have a gold mine. We do not have a mint. Those are what you call grants. So they're subject to, we're subject to, of course, we got a wonderful TOR grant that bumped our budget up about $1 million per year for the last 2 years. 1 year left in that goes into August 26th. The other areas that you see the growth in our finances is being a fiduciary or monitoring money for other organizations or partner organizations so we can get the work done because no one else wanted to step up their plate to be that fiduciary. So there's cost in that. We do receive a little bit of administrative costs for that, but you'll see our budget, from 2020 from just above 2 million shoot up all the way up into the close to 6 million. So a lot of that is grants. Some of it's increase in costs from our state funding, the federal funding, but we don't have a mental or anything like that. Get into a little bit of public health programming, you'll see, and I go right to WIC, and just to show you the comparison with what's happening when we do nutritional services and that in the WIC education. But you can give a value to what we're giving to our clients, and that value reflects back into the community. At 2024, there's $522,000+ spent on food within our community through our program. And those are the things that really build a community, also build a program, and keep us financially stewards of that money, but also getting those services and needs to our clients in the community itself. And things have changed and standards changed, like Nathan mentioned. So standards like in lead testing has gone up with lower age, as well as a requirement to be lead tested when you're a little one, a little kiddo. So you'll see a big, huge jump from 22 to 24 in the number of individuals being tested for lead. Hemoglobin goes along with that because we want to know what hemoglobin is for this bad. And a quick thing over maternal health. So this is taking care of kiddos and doing home visits. But just to point out something, you'll see our numbers drop in 2024. So of course, this was discussed in our Board of Health this morning. I talked to our administrator, Katie O'Meara, about this. When you look at 21 and 22, they're reflecting back on what? COVID. Guess what the federal government did for us during COVID? We could use the telephone to do an appointment. People wanted to talk to us on the phone. They want to come to our department. A little bit more difficult to get people into the department to do an evaluation and a case review than it was. They dropped that requirement down to 30%. So that's all we can do by phone now is 30%. So that's dropped. We see less participation. We're pushing to get that phone service back because that's what people really like. And if you can imagine a family that has to come to an appointment and pull their kids, a mom or a dad, pull their kids with them, 2 or 3 kids, to the health department during the day. If they don't have transportation, it all can become more difficult. Sitting at home on a phone or Zoom, it works. But that's where we're at today. Family plan is what it is. Of course, when you look at numbers of family planning, what I look at is the positivity of lower communicable disease or STIs. From a health perspective, that's good. You get into immunizations. It's kind of flattening out after COVID, of course. And I don't know if you ever knew this, but I don't think I've done before the board a review of our annual report. But I don't know if you knew back in 2021, when the COVID immunizations or COVID vaccines came out, your health department delivered over 21,000 vaccinations in that year. Outstanding for a small department.
Yeah, you did all that through the CMH facility, right?
Yes, we utilized their facility.
Yeah, that was very efficient.
We set it up. We were trying to be very efficient and get the work done that we needed to do and provide that. And that's quite a number, and if you remember right, and we talk about this at the Board of Health. We're a pretty lean department, you know, we have 24 employees. When we do get grants, we're not jumping and hiring new people. We find what we can do within that grant, within side first, and then maybe we'll add a part-time or full-time. I know recently we did go through some cuts with COVID, just months ago. We didn't have to lay anybody off because we were handling that, the funding through our current staff at a good level. And we were able to supplement some other areas that we had strength in, so we didn't have to lay off like others did. I am glad those times were gone, those were COVID times. I gotta believe it. And you see the same thing, COVID investigations way up in 2021. Communicable disease investigations, I should say. They've leveled off really well over time. There's always something in public health going on. We did get we're just finishing up the flu season. It's the worst flu season in 18 years in our country. And we felt it here locally, we felt it through that state. Numbers were way up. And like other departments probably will tell you the same thing. I'm on page 15. If you look at care coordination, this is children's special health care. So we have a program where children with disabilities can come to us and get services, and we can make sure they're getting the right services through the medical providers in our community. Major drop in care coordination. Well, that happens to correspond with somebody being absent from work due to a medical condition. And being lean like we are, there's not that second or third backup that we have. So we're trying to correct that, multi-train people, so we're cross-trained, that we can pick up the slack when we do have these instances occurring in our workforce. Of course, one of my long-term favorites, because my background is environmental, and numbers are pretty steady. We're seeing a little bit more complaint numbers come in last year and this year, just a snippet there. But you know, it's pretty much the same type of numbers that we've seen both on onsite water supply, then all the various other programs that we do, campground inspections, body art, DHS facilities, public swimming pools. And those are coming up shortly, hopefully. You'll see the same in the food inspection area in Erie. Yes, we're getting a Big B.
Yeah.
Lucas. I can't remember the other Mexican shop. Coming in the old Sandusky Diner.
Sure.
We got the Knights Table. We have 4 or 5 food trucks that are currently going licensing through our department. That's a hot commodity, right? Everything is getting a food truck well. So more food for us, hopefully, at least. Good food, I hope. Beach monitoring is going to start soon. We do monitor 5 to 7 beaches along the lakeshore, keeping people safe and letting them know when they shouldn't swim or swim, depending on the circumstances. One of the things I hope to share with you in a few months is coming back. I think I have an invitation if you want to see me again. We are going to electronic format for environmental health services. I'm really excited about it. It's called Fetch EH. It's going to tie our system permits into GIS. And what I'm excited about, you can go on GIS and we'll be able to look up your drain field, your well, and any complaints for any food service operation inspections throughout the county. We're into our 9th month with it. We're really pleased with it. We're moving forward with it. We have a lot of, we're building up inspections. One of my barriers is I got about 20,000 existing records of on-site wastewater and water supply systems in the county, and trying to get those scanned into the system for a scannable document that you could look up on GIS. We're working through those things. We did a pilot. I think it took us 6 weeks to do one file drawer about 5.5 foot high. Quite a bit of time, quite a bit of records though. So we got quite a bit more to do. So we're trying to figure out that process. But I hope to come back to you and actually do a demo for you. When we go live, that would mean anybody in the county can go to GIS and look up their records from the residential location or commercial. And actually food service as well. You can actually look up inspections, which I know everybody's obviously asking me, where do you eat? Where can I go? You're gonna be able to do it yourself. Why not? So we're looking forward to that, and I'll come back and demonstrate that for you in a couple months. If I'm invited back.
You're always welcome here, Brian.
Thank you, Dennis. Any questions?
Hey, Brian, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
I know it's a tough job. Uh, I know through COVID, it was really tough for you guys to spend a lot of hours and but I wanted to personally thank you. You've helped me out a couple with a couple constituents. One was the sewer issue here a couple years ago, and I just want to let everybody know that I have a constituent from Moore Township that's going through a tough deal, environmental, but with a neighbor. And I got a hold of Brent, I got a hold of Greg, and I've already talked to you this morning. They jumped right on it. It's a serious issue. And Greg has moved that up the food chain. I appreciate you guys jumping on that and doing so. Appreciate all you do.
Well, thank you. And one of the things we can do with the complaints, and sometimes they're not in our jurisdiction. And it doesn't matter to us, but we can do a site visit. We can get our eyes on it. We can help the other agencies know, hey, this is what we're seeing. Maybe they don't have to come all the way from Lansing or Bay City.
Or Chicago.
Yeah. And we can assist them on it. And then John, you mentioned the Sarah one. I remember I actually helped when that was occurring. We did water sampling at the homes surrounding with Eagle back a couple years ago. We were made aware that it might be getting hot again. Hopefully it's not, and things will settle down. And we'll see a resolve in the community there with the actual property and the condition of it. But we're happy to help where we can. And try to get things moved forward for our community. That's our job. Enjoy.
Very good. And I just want to say, Brian, I really appreciate you coming in and giving us a report like this. And the board wants to see more reports like this from our departments. It gives us an opportunity to see not only what's going on, but it gives us a pulse of what your needs may be. And so as we have conversations in the future and budgets and things of that nature, when we get these annual reports from all the departments, it helps us have a general pulse of what's going on between the departments so we can make the decisions that we need to make here. So I just really want to thank you for bringing this in and having this for us. And we definitely look forward to the GIS concept that you're bringing forward. That's going to be a lot of information. I'm a little on the fence about the GIS because I almost feel like maybe we need to charge $1 for accessing it because it's anybody can go on there and look a lot of stuff up. And as long as it's public records, and I think it'll be a good thing. It's just, I wonder if the restaurants that maybe don't pass quite as good are gonna be real happy about that.
I did put that out there. I shouldn't put the restaurants out there, but they're doing it in other areas and it seems to be working because it is public information. And that's the only thing we would put out there. One of the benefits to the environmental health division in this project will be we will have less FOIAs because now we don't have to go through that FOIA process to get your septic permit and your old information in your file. We don't have to go through that. You can retrieve that yourself. And, it might not be a bad idea if you want to pay on all their GIS stuff. Getting on their systems, you have to pay.
Yeah. But that kind of goes back to what you said about having a lean, mean machine with your staff is if you've got a way to use technology to reduce the burden on the staff, you don't need more staff and you can continue to operate with the staff.
Those have been our objectives and goals, getting to that point where we can reduce that pressure on staff so they can concentrate on their work and get better and better, get better at what they're doing and be more efficient at it. And then just a shout out to we have probably the best campgrounds inspections in the state because of this gentleman at the end of the table.
I can't take all the credit.
Well, I don't know you and your staff, but they're doing the right thing in the campgrounds. And I worked in Saginaw for 27 years and there was ups and downs in campgrounds and mobile home parks and things like that. We got a good team here, at least from my perspective. They're doing good things.
There you go.
I appreciate your support.
We're meeting with Reese Friday out.
I think you're dragging me out.
I
think it is. So that's good.
Any further questions for Brian? Brian, we appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That's going to conclude presentations today. We're going to move directly into interviews. We have Semi Transportation's Local Advisory Council. Is Stacy DeRizzo here? No. How about Kelly Palig? No. Nancy Tazak? No. And Kim Thompson's not here either. Good. That will conclude interviews. Now we're going to move directly into committee appointments to standing committees. And we have the Senate Transportation Advisory Council. We have 4 names to appoint: Stacy Grizzo, Kelly Palig, Nancy Tezak, and Kim Thompson for a 2-year term expiring 6/1 of 2027. I'll entertain a motion as such.
I'll make that motion that we appoint all 4.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Lee, support from Commissioner Ehart to make these appointments. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Appointments are made. There's no need for 13B. When it comes to 14 for county chair appointments, I am appointing Commissioner Heberling to the Multi-County Materials Management Board. Moving on from that, we're going to move into general resolutions. And before we get started, because the first one is the fiscal year 2026 Community Corrections Grant application, I'm going to have Dave, if you want to come up and just fill us in a little bit about what's new or different, or if not.
Good afternoon, everybody. David Stevens, Thumb Area Regional Community Corrections. Thank you for giving me some time to speak this afternoon. First, I want to say, since COVID is over, we're finally doing very well as a region. Our numbers in every program but one are above 50% when we did our second quarter reports, which is phenomenal. As far as changes, and I'm a person that sometimes doesn't like change, the grant process has changed where it's now online. Technology is the way of the future. However, sometimes I'm not so sure it's the way to go. The reason I say that is it used to take me a good 2 to 3 weeks to do the grants for the region, all 4 counties and the programs. I did it in a day for the most part. I got to tweak a couple things just because they use IntelliGrants and there's still some bugs in it, so I can't complete it until I haven't actually gone back in there to complete it. They fixed the bugs. The reason that's a concern is we're basically, every CCAB is in competition for about $13 million in funding every year. Somebody that knew the terminology or could be explained the terminology literally could complete a grant application. Yes, it's good that, every county or CCAB, if they need programming, it's great that, they now have the ability to do it. However, when I say that, I mean they have the ability to complete the grant application. Actually fulfilling that grant and running the programs how they're supposed to be, that person would have a hard time to do it if they didn't get some help. The last thing I'm going to say about that, what I mean by that is, in the past when we had a program, I had to show that it was evidence-based practice, what the KPMs were, how I was going to track that data. I had to have a program description written out. Now it's basically, I'm going to use Hazelton, which is one of the substance abuse criteria. You just write in Hazelton. Evidence-based practice, you check the block, yes. So again, technology is great, but I think as of June 1st, community corrections, they're going to see a lot more applications than in the past because the people just couldn't complete the applications. With that being said, since we are doing so well, we are asking for a lot more money than we did in the past. This current year, we got $335,000 in total funding. I'm asking for the stars at $507,000, $291,000. I'm hoping to get the moon, which is, I'm hoping around $400,000 for the region. We'll see, but I'm hoping we're at that number. Lastly, actually 2 more things. Lieutenant was talking about meth and how bad it is. Our region is lucky to have the best opiate/meth treatment program in probably, I'm not even say probably, in the United States, which is offered at TRICAP. We funded for 15 new enrollments this year. As of second quarter, we're at 25 new enrollments. So that's almost double, and we're not even, well, we're just at halfway through the year. That shows the need for that program in the entire region. Sand Lake County sent 1, that person did graduate successfully. As far as how much Sand Lake uses that program, that all goes back to the judges, the prosecutors, the probation agents, because that's where the referrals come from. I don't have any ability to get somebody in that program. It really has to come from the court system. So Sand Lak's numbers, your felony dispositions are lower than, it depends on with Huron, but you're normally between Huron and Sand Lake, your felony dispositions are lower than Lapeer and Tuscola. So your utilization of the programs is obviously less. But the programs are there. When people are referred to them and they're eligible, they are getting the treatment they need. So, to comment or add to what Nathan said is the state's constantly changing the grants. I always tell people, if they tell me to write in green crayon it is. If next month they change it to seafoam, there's no point in arguing. They've got the checkbook. You just gotta keep up with it. And that's, like I said, with the new grant process. It's, again, I'm not totally in favor, but we'll see after they allocate the funds, how it goes. One good thing is we do now, I just last week was in Ingham County at the state board level. We finally do have a good community corrections state board. They're asking questions, they're asking for changes. Historically, the Office of Community Corrections lapse funds that's not spent. We finally have a board looking into that. That money doesn't roll over to the next year. So let's say that, just throwing numbers out, not real numbers. We have $13 million to play with. Wayne County in the past was lapsing a huge amount of money. They never would tell us exactly how much, but a lot. That lapse money is just gone. So this year I'm going to be asking for money. They need to do a better job of providing that, instead of letting it lapse, provide it to the CTABs that are spending the money. We're lucky enough so far this year, Tuscola and Lapeer both have offered some opioid money due to the fact that I am going to run out of money for that opiate meth specific program. So they're going to help fund their people through the opioid fund. So hopefully that'll sneak us to the finish line this year. So any questions? Again, thank you for the resolution. It is, the state requires it when I get audited every year. I do have to present the resolution from all 4 counties to the state, so it is vital that it shows the counties are willing to participate. And lastly, if you didn't know, I keep saying lastly, you do have a new probation parole supervisor, Ken Kincaid. I actually spoke with him this morning. He seems to be on top of everything. So hopefully he can help with some enrollments if you do have eligible probationers that need programming.
Good. Very good. We appreciate giving us an update, being here to answer questions if we had some.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, with that, we're going to move right into the resolutions. We have the fiscal year 2026 Community Corrections Grant Application. Commissioner Moody, you going to read that one?
Whereas Sand Lake County is a member of the Thumb Area Regional Community Corrections with Lapeer, Huron, and Tuscola counties recognize the need to offer felony probationers with specific programming targeted at further advancing offender success rates and reducing repeat offender rates. And whereas the fiscal year 2026 Community Corrections Grant Application written on behalf of the Thumb Area Regional Community Corrections will provide a funding source to incorporate such programming and administrative oversight in Sand Lake County. Therefore, be it resolved that the Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby approves Sand Lake County participation in the Thumb Area Regional Community Corrections Fiscal Year 2026 Community Corrections Grant Application for the period of 10/1
turn right on North Elk Street.
10/1/25 through 9/30 of 26. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the proceedings of the Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners on this 20th day of May 2025.
I have a resolution offered from Commissioner Moody. Is there support?
Support.
I have support from Commissioner Lee. Discussion about the resolution. Hearing none. Leslie, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Moody,
Yes.
Commissioner Lee,
Yes.
Commissioner Block,
Yes.
Commissioner Heberling.
Yes.
Commissioner Sarkella,
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard,
Yes.
and Commissioner Ehart.
Yes.
Resolution is adopted. Thank you, Leslie.
You're welcome.
Gotta go somewhere, Gary?
My phone's off. I don't know how to even,
David was just talking about technology and how,
right?
You're supposed to be somewhere. You're gonna be late.
Maybe it was a clue we needed, the meeting was over. I don't know.
we are around that hour mark. All right, the next resolution we have today is imposing the 2025 summer property tax levy pursuant to Public Act 357 of 2004 and notice of certification of Santa County allocated tax rate levy.
Whereas Santa Clara County is authorized under the General Property Tax Act, Public Act 206 of 1893 as amended to levy and collect county allocated property taxes. And whereas the General Property Tax Act has been amended to Public Act 357 of 2004, being MCL 211.44A, to require all Michigan counties to impose a summer property tax levy. The total number of mills allocated to the county are to be levied and collected as a summer property tax beginning in 2007. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to Public Act 357 of 2004, Santa Clara County's allocated mills shall be levied and collected on July 1st, 2025 at the rate allocated after application of the Headley millage reduction fraction or 4.0339 mills. And be it further resolved that the treasurers that collect the state education tax in Santa Clara County are directed to account for and deliver the total county allocated mills collected for 2025 in accordance with the provisions of Public Act 357 of 2004. And be it further resolved that this resolution constitutes certification of the levy of the county allocated mills and authorized collection of the county allocated mills on July 1st, 2025 at the rate allocated after application of the Headley millage reduction fraction or 4.0339 mills. And be it further resolved that the county treasurer shall deliver a copy of this resolution by first class mail to the treasurers that collect the state education tax.
Resolution offered by Finance Chairman Sarkella. Is there support?
Support.
I have support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Leslie, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Sarkella?
Yes.
Commissioner Ehart?
Yes.
Commissioner Ballard?
Yes.
Commissioner Moody?
Yes.
Commissioner Black?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
And Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Okay, all yes, resolution is adopted. Thank you again, Leslie. That's going to conclude resolutions today. We're going to move into committee reports. We're going to start with Commissioner Ballard.
Hey. Let's see, where have I been? I have programmed last Tuesday, meeting at CMH. Just our normal approval of reports and whatnot. We have a board meeting this afternoon. Parks did not meet. However, I've been pretty busy with parks with the Evergreen project, out there kind of overseeing some of the pieces of the putt-putt that are going together. They actually are beginning to put the board in place, safety surfacing in for that. So hopefully this will be wrapped up here in the next couple of weeks, the whole project, and just good weather to go through grass. The parks are busy. They'll all be 100% capacity this weekend. And Eddie Fury from the local radio station has tentative plans to be out there on Thursday, the 29th, broadcasting live. And on June 7th, they have their first ever fishing derby at Evergreen Park in conjunction with the free fishing weekend. So they're gonna have a lot of prizes and it's open to all ages. It's free. So that should be a pretty fun event.
Perfect weekend to have it.
Yep.
Roger, that poured in place surfacing, you've talked about that quite a bit through the years. Hey, back at, what, a cement truck load of that stuff? Is it a big tanker? Or
Bags. It comes in bags.
They're
And it's
literally-
heated. I haven't actually seen it. I'm hoping I can get out there this afternoon and catch them in action
Okay,
as they put the base down, and then they should be able to finish hopefully tomorrow.
okay. Because it seems like there'd be a lot of product there and I couldn't imagine
There
using
is.
it in 5-gallon pails or something.
No, there were 2 pallets that were probably about 6 feet high,
Okay.
full of bags of it. So, yep. So when it's all done, everybody come out and play putt-putt.
You're gonna give all the commissioners a free pass to come?
$5.
$5 a hole?
After what I've gone through on this project, nobody gets to play for free.
At least I tried.
Yep. I get
That's hard to
it.
ask.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Good report. Gary?
Yeah, thank you, Jen. As you mentioned, appointed me to the multi-county materials management board, or my first meeting will be tomorrow in Carroll. I'm going to refer the personnel committee meeting we had this morning to you. You can talk
Okay.
about that. And then this afternoon, we have a county planning committee where we're going to talk about two separate splits that, to approve that. Done.
Thank you, Gary. Bill?
Sat in on the Max Environmental Natural Resources, Agriculture and Tourism Committee last week. We reviewed the platform for the year, so that's been all updated now. We had a legislative update from Dina Bosworth that kind of mirrored what Steve Curry was telling us here as well when he was here the prior meeting. And then have a couple interns that are going to be assisting them through the summer. And then pension board met, our allocations adequate, concerns about market volatility and seeing continued growth there as well. And we approved a pretty big list of retirees for the county. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you, Bill. Christine?
I had the Council on Aging and they hired Jackie. I didn't quite catch her last name. She's gonna be on call or on relief to help Sandra Martin Adams, the RN visiting nurse, when she can't be there or whatever. She'll fill in, so it's not a void there. Also, meal sites, the number of participants is going up and they are staying longer. Usually they just came and ate and left. Now they're staying and visiting and or playing cards or whatever. So that is good. Then I had the CAPC this morning. The baby shower had a great turnout. Child Safety Matters is concluding in Peck and Marlette. It's going to be done in May. And Peck, Marlette, Deckerville, and CPS is scheduled for it in the fall. They're working on the update of the strategic planning. And then I had the Health Department. May is Mental Health Month. It's also Older American Month. The Substance Use Department is starting to plan for summer events through the county. RSV sent fewer babies to the hospital after new treatment and vaccine. Pertussis cases are on the rise in Michigan. 8 measles cases confirmed in measles. Measles had infected 182 more people in Ontario. Ohio had 34 cases. And increase in exercise in middle age may protect against Alzheimer's disease. And that's it.
Thank you, Christine. Good report. Okay, as Gary stated, we have a planning commission meeting tonight. And then earlier today, personnel met and all of us commissioners had completed our evaluations for our administrator, Nathan Rotsky. And I am pleased to report that evaluation process went very well and that Nathan's performance is set at highly effective, which is what we would all certainly hope for. Great job, Nathan. A revised employment contract for Nathan will land on our finance agenda in 2 weeks with a new pay for him set based on his performance at $111,000. And then his pay increases from there will move as they did in the past with the union pay increases that are negotiated for 2026 and 2027. And I just want to say, Nathan, I mean, in a nutshell, you do a fantastic job in your role. You have vision for this county that you implement of your own, and you drive that forward on a daily basis. But this Board of Commissioners also has vision for this county, and you absolutely implement and drive that forward as well. I think we can all be quite pleased. The fiscal position of the county has improved in the last few years, all the while we're doing better things for employees as well. So I think that indicates that we're definitely moving in the right direction. And I sat in on Nathan's department head meeting this morning and heard some very good things, not only from you to the departments, but from the departments back to you. And so there's definitely a good, respectful relationship there and positive things are happening. So again, thank you for what you do, Nate.
Thank you.
That is all I have for committee reports. Evans?
At the end of April, we had a officers meeting for HDC just to discuss bringing a lot of positions up to market, because over the years, a lot of positions have been grossly underpaid, and they're at the position now that with all the other departments within HDC that they're doing well with their programs, that they can get the positions to a better pay. So again, people don't leave for a better paying job and they got to bring people in because these positions are getting paid well higher in other spots of the state. So we just want to be competitive and they'll be moving towards that pretty shortly. So that's about it.
Okay. Thank you, Evans. John?
Yesterday I had the medical care facility board. They're working on a grant to upgrade some of their outside seating area for the residents. They're going to be doing some painting this summer. Working on a security upgrade, working on their payroll to be able to do their own payroll, because right now we do we do the payroll for them right now. And they're working on some technology upgrades, and their current census right now, yesterday was 79.
Thank you, John. Nathan, I have a question about John's report. With us doing payroll for the MCF, if they take, that's involved, there must be a cost allocation plan that we provide the MCF.
Similar, when that happened with CMH years ago, our finance director, Christy Bender, had shared with me that there was a resolution the board passed where they adopted a set amount and then that increased by like the CPI every year. So that would be something we've talked about. I talked to Commissioner Moody yesterday as to some of the dialogue that took place, and it sounds like they're aware of that. So,
okay.
But not
They're gonna be doing their own payroll here very shortly.
Right.
There's like a 4-step thing they have to do in order to get it.
And is the EIN part of that as well?
they want to achieve that, and they're looking at that now. The goal is always like for that to take place as they transition into a new year. So by like the year end, so as they transition into a new year, it's clean.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Was that enough for your report? Okay, thank you for your report. Appreciate everyone's committee reports and your participation in those committees. We are going to move on. There's no need for unfinished business. We're going to move directly into new business. And today we're going to start out with FA 076-25, approval of current claims.
Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims identified on the accounts payable report dated May 13th, 2025 for the general bank account in the amount of $137,772.80.
Support. I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 077-25, budget adoption, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following accounts as listed.
I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ehart. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 078-25, approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to April 2025.
Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged April 2025 as follows. $623,878.22 in ACH payments, $170,969.71 in checks for a grand total of $794,847.93.
Support. I have a motion from Finance Chairman Sarkella, support from Vice Chairman Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 079-25, authorization to repair and replace communication system for 911 dispatch.
Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the emergency request and further authorizes the repairs and replacements of the microwave side of Sonoma County's communication system by thumb radio to cost not to exceed $338,741.75 with funding from the 9/11 millage fund.
Support. I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Heberlein. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to NFA 011-25, acceptance of the 2024 Drug Task Force report.
Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts the 2024 Annual Drug Task Force report as presented.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Lee to accept the 2024 Annual Drug Task Force report. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you again, Lieutenant, for being here today. Moving on to NFA 012-25, acceptance of the 2024 Annual Health Department report.
Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts the 2024 Annual Health Department report as presented.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you, Brian, for being here today. That's going to conclude new business. So at this time, I will call for general public comments. Are there any general public comments? Welcome.
Hello,
You can state your name for the clerk.
I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht. I've been out from St. Clair County.
Okay.
I am a member of the board of the Community Mental Health Authority there. I'm here in my private capacity. I am here because I became interested in the issue of solar in my own county. I did not know much about it. I went out and visited in December, and it has become a research project for the last 5 months for me personally. I found that there are a tremendous number of health problems when solar is put in incorrectly. So I went out to Shiawassee County and the Assembly Solar Project, if anyone's been out, hasn't been there, you should go. That led to me knocking on doors and doing research. My background is in research. I have a doctorate in human development psychology from Harvard University. I worked together with our county's Health Commission, Health Advisory Board, and with Dr. Remington Nevin, who took those concerns seriously. And we have introduced and passed regulations regarding the health effects of solar that I would like to share with your county. And we would love to see Sand Lake County and other counties across Michigan adopt something similar. In other states, and you brought up the wrong thing down here. In other states, there are 43 pages of regulation regarding solar. In the state of Michigan, there are a couple of sentences. There's the state of names. This is a copy of the letter that I gave to the health board meeting this morning. And this is a copy of our regulations. Passed in St. Clair County. So essentially, we are not opposed to solar. I'm not opposed to solar per se. I am opposed to solar that is installed incorrectly. And what has happened in Shiawassee County is that in order to save about $10 million, the company that put the solar in, that's Ranger Power, that built the Assembly Power Plant, we didn't defective equipment. By that, I mean equipment that was sold to them from China. It is exceeding the sound regulations, even for the state of Michigan. And it is a horrible experience to get there. Talk to people in tears who answer the door and say they can't even sell their homes. People having headaches, tinnitus. I myself developed ear problems simply from doing research and then on steroids for my ears. So it's a problem. And the problem is that when these companies come in to states like Michigan, where we don't have health regulations, where we don't have really any regulations on solar, they come in and they put in the cheapest equipment they can. And then when the community has a problem, there's really no one to go to or to complain to. Some states, like the state of Maine, which you're looking at their regulations there, Connecticut and Massachusetts, I would recommend you take a look at what they do. I sent a copy, sound file of what I heard out in Shiawassee to a gentleman who does acoustic measurement. He's associated with MIT. He took one listen and said, that can't be a solar field. I said, well, unfortunately it is. It's one here in Michigan. And he said, well, that would never be allowed to be installed in the states where he does consulting, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Maine. So we have a real problem here in Michigan in that the solar companies know that we have no regulations to protect. You'll see 12 different recommendations there. We don't have any of those regulations. So the solar companies have stopped going to places like Maine and Connecticut and Massachusetts where it's expensive because they have to actually meet basic health guidelines. And instead they're coming to places like this. So that's why we're seeing just a huge attack from these companies here in the state of Michigan. Some states are even worse. We at least have 3 sentences. The state of Missouri has absolutely none. And I've been contacted by people in the state of Missouri saying, help, they can do whatever they want here and there's nothing to stop them. So those companies, what I'd like to see Michigan do would be to adopt, this is really a workaround around PA 233. Dr. Remington Nevin said that as a health official, the health department has an obligation to protect the public. And if the state legislature isn't doing it, that the health department actually has the legal authority to do that. So we'd like to see other counties join, get on board, and really tell the officials in Lansing that it is not appropriate that Michigan is unprotected when other states are. All right, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Catherine, what is the irreversible corrective action path that needs to be taken here in Michigan? I heard you mention the health department is part of that. And I don't know if Brian's aware of that or not, but from from the state legislatures. Have you gained any ground or talked to anybody at the state legislature to get this?
So I just found this problem in December. I literally went out there thinking, how bad can it be? So this is new for me. I've been working on this for 5 months now. We were focused primarily on our county to get this stopped because we had a big solar project coming into Fort Gratiot right next to Fort Huron.
How long did that take to get in place in St. Clair County?
It was surprisingly fast, actually. They fast tracked it. It went through the health department. It passed unanimously, and it unanimously passed our Board of Commissioners on May 1st. We held a public hearing. There were probably 300 or 400 people at that public hearing, including people who came in from the solar field I'm describing, who talked publicly about the health problems they've been having, including 2 12-year-old boys who have headaches so bad they are in a darkened room missing school, throwing up. Then the second page, if you look at the letter that I gave to your health department, in the second page, you can actually see their home. There's a map on the second page of my letter. And that is from Google Maps. And they're the house in the middle there with the swimming pool. They're surrounded by solar on all sides. There's nothing preventing that in the state of Michigan. In other states, that's not allowed. That's not legal.
Where is this done at?
That is in Shiawassee County. That's the Assembly Solar Plant. That's not done in Michigan.
On M13, off and up 69 to the north.
And that's essentially what these companies come in and do. I've spoken to representatives of DCE who said how nice they are because they actually will go back 50 feet behind the home further than that. Those are their concessions. So the problem, if people are not familiar with the technology, is that solar panels don't make any noise. And of course, they're glass. And I thought, how much noise can they make? It's the inverters. The inverters have to convert the sunlight into a form of power that can go out to the grid. Those inverters can be made silent. They are in the states where that's required. It costs more money to put shielding on it. And a good example is the brick on your laptop board. That little brick is essentially a reverse inverter. It would make a loud noise and whine, except for the fact that they put shielding in it, because otherwise we'd all go nuts in the computers. So when they go to put those in, though, into communities, where it's not prohibitive, they will go in and get the cheapest inverters they can get. And when you plug them in, they make a noise. I've actually recorded 94 decibels standing on the street in front of one of these inverters. 94 decibels. The state limit is 55. And the people there have, they don't know who to go to because no one's enforcing anything. So what we put in place in Michigan says if you're going to bring solar into our county, it needs to get pre-approval to make sure that you have all of these measurements in place. We don't do any measurement here. So they can come in, they can put solar right around your house just like that, and then leave you with 94 decibels of noise and do nothing about it. And there's really no enforcement. So Dr. Remington Nevin is the person I think you should reach out to. I'd very much like for him to communicate with your health department and see if you can do something similar, but it could be fast tracked and you could have this in pretty quickly.
Okay. We certainly appreciate you bringing this information to our attention, especially from our neighbor from the south. This is a highly contested issue in our county in any area that's targeted for this type of development. So we appreciate you bringing the information.
If there's anything further I can do, let me know. I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation. I've been giving it around the state. If you'd like to have me provide more information, I'd be happy.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Is there any further public comment today?
Just a quick comment. Catherine was at the Board of Health meeting with the other guests in the back. The Board of Health has directed me to do our due diligence and look at what's in place, including St. Clair County's solar ordinance. I think there was a request also for wind.
Yeah.
I got it right, yes. So both of those, take a look at it.
Wind and battery.
Wind and battery, what do they call that? Data
centers too.
Data centers. So a little new territory for us here in public health. So we will take a look at not only what's been created, but what's out there in the nation. Also consultations to who we need to consult and come back with some type of information. I can't say it will be fast tracked in weeks. I can't tell you that, but we will get on it. We'll start looking at the research and what we need to do. We are here, to protect public health, and we need to do something special. What really concerns me is that sound, the decibel load of hearing that's being read off of some of these facilities. We will look at that, propose something in the future potentially, depending on how the Board of Health moves on it. So just wanted to make sure you guys are all aware what we're doing, and if you have information that you think is good for me to look over and research, please give me an email and let me know.
Glad you guys are looking into it, Brian. Thank you for letting us know.
Brian and Catherine, you said you're trying to fast track it, but you don't know what time yet. I get that.
I won't say that. Catherine said that.
Okay.
Fast track for me.
There's a number
No, I don't
there's
fast
a
track
number of
much.
proposed sites gonna be put in probably yet this year. Would this, whatever you come up with when we put it into effect, would that have any effect on the ones?
You know, that can be dealt with language. If there was something proposed and the Board of Health approved it with you, if in that language you can say existing sites, I mean, there's some things I've dealt with ordinances before, mainly in the hazardous waste solid waste area. Which we can look at language that could include existing or pending. I think the one you're probably talking about is Watertown.
Yeah.
And I think there's some information out there about one in Minden City, but I'm not 100% what's happening up there on that status. So I think Watertown is actually going through Eagle permits currently, if I remember correctly. So, it'd be, get something through us. I can't promise you it's gonna be fast track. We'll look at it. We want to make sure that what we're doing is relative to public health. I will share, I have some concerns with that ordinance that was passed, but that's their language. We'll work on similar language or something even stronger if we need it, especially for sound. But there's language I will comment language in there regarding visual aspects and things like that. Public health surely can't regulate visual aspects of something, but I get that. I get why they would want something like that in there, but that may be more zoning than it is public health. We're digging as much as we can.
And what you were talking about earlier, Brian, to Gary's question is about these facilities that could be here before we have regulated.
Correct.
They essentially will become a non-conforming use. And we would have an option as to whether we wanted to attempt to regulate something like that. But however, the legal circumstances of trying to retroactive something are different than rules up front.
Correct.
So that's something that we'll have to kind of work through. And that's where, Commissioner Heberlin and I are on the planning commission, so we deal a lot in zoning issues, and we may be an asset, working through this process as well.
I think you both will be.
But, yeah, for sure. And if you need something from us, Brian, I mean, this is quite an undertaking, and it's a little outside why I guess we would consider the norm, although it is a very interesting idea. It's a huge concern within the community about the community's loss of ability to regulate themselves in these land uses. And what the state did has been incredibly contentious and difficult. And if we have an opportunity to protect our residents here locally, we absolutely need to take that opportunity if it's correct and appropriate. So we'll definitely be looking forward to see what you guys come up with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further public comment today? Hearing none, we are going to move on. There's no need for closed session or approval of closed session minutes. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn our BOC meeting at 2:27.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion by Commissioner Lee. Is there support? Support from Commissioner Sarcella. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.